Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Rob Balasabas here, head of partnerships here at Uscreen, here with my friend Roberto Blake. How you doing, man?
I'm doing awesome, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, pleasure to have you here. Really excited. Me and you are just kind of showing up on this channel. Usually, it's Daniel Kosmala who's here, but if you guys are wondering, Daniel is on the road. He's on the road with PJ and Jamie from our team, and they are interviewing some of our creators and users on the road right now. So here we are, though. We are filling in, Roberto. So Roberto, a little bit of an introduction of who you are. If there's somebody out there for some reason that don't know who you are in the YouTube space, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So my name is Roberto Blake. I'm a creative entrepreneur, public speaker. I'm the founder of Awesome Creator Academy. That's my online coaching business. I run a branding agency, also Create Awesome Media. And I'm probably best known for my main YouTube channel that has over 540,000, something like that, thousand subscribers. I've been doing YouTube for quite a long time. I started doing it maybe seriously, I want to say summer of 2013, doing Thursday weekly software tutorials, mostly Adobe stuff, Photoshop, Premiere Pro, InDesign, using my background coming from advertising and graphic design. And within 3 years, by between like August of 2013 and I want to say April of 2016, I'd reached 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, which at the time I didn't realize how big of a deal it was if you don't go viral, because I didn't go viral. Almost no one was going viral back then. I was making education content. I didn't go viral. There was no snowball effect. There was no one video that put me on the map. It was just a grind. And I've made 1,500 videos in that time since then. Wow. So I've just like, none of my stuff is viral. None of my stuff was luck. It was a grind. I know people like to attribute success to luck. There's patterns, there's data. It's rarely blind, dumb luck. If you want to talk about luck, it's preparation versus opportunity. The opportunity is that YouTube has existed, and that's enough opportunity probably for most people, to be honest with you. And yeah, I know everyone doesn't like succeed on YouTube, but I think it's mostly a lot of people, they don't necessarily have the prerequisite skills to be successful in YouTube. They don't have the mentality to be successful in YouTube. Average YouTuber to get any traction has to be willing to do it for 5 years without seeing results. And again, 1,500 videos. That's what I did. You have people who got a lot more doing a lot less. So it was just a grind, Rob. And so I teach, I teach creative people. I teach people how to make money in the creator economy, whether you're a graphic designer, a YouTube content creator, you're going to be a video editor for a company, or a YouTube content creator, you're going to do the art for a company or a creator. There's a lot of ways to make money online. And so I teach people how to use these online digital platforms so that they can earn a living doing something they actually like, or they can make a little bit of extra money, that type of thing.
Yeah, no, fantastic. So how long did it take you to sort of figure out who your audience was, that they were creatives, people wanted to make money?
I just started basically with, okay, what would be useful to me? And so I made that. What would be useful to me if I were starting from nothing again? Right. Like I just did that. I made content that would have been useful to a younger Roberto Blake, and that's all I did. And I still kind of more or less do that today is, well, what didn't I know 10 years ago that would have mattered? What I wanted to know 15 years ago that would have mattered? What I wanted to know 2 years ago when a feature was new? What do I think of it today? So I just make content that way.
Right. Got it. Well, today really want to talk to you about how you've made, and we were going back and forth on this title, like, Roberto, what do you want to talk about? What do you want to talk about to our Uscreen audience? It's like, I want to talk about how I've made $400,000 in the creator economy. So let's start unpacking that.
Just last year,
in the middle of
2021. That was 2021. $408,184.14 according to my accountant.
There you go.
Just for like people who were like, oh, BS or whatever. This is the light's a little much here. I don't know. There you go. Trying to make it to where people can see this. This is the accounting software. This is what my accountant sends off to the IRS, and that's profit and loss statements. So we had that in revenue, but we had 210,000 $479.54 in expenses, and this is before taxes. So I'm not out here balling to the degree that you would think. You know, and it is nice to live in Georgia, though. That is comparatively cheap, but you know, yeah. But it's expensive to run a successful YouTube venture. A lot of people don't realize that. And it's not just about what you want to do now. It's about being able to spend money for your future.
Right.
You know, my margins are really good, but Mr. Beast has like razor thin margins. They blow a budget of like, now they blow over $1 million per video. Some of their videos cost upwards of $3 million. And what they put in their pockets after he has to pay his team of over 50 people. I think a lot of people, they just compare income to their 9-to-5 job. They don't realize that if you don't work a 9-to-5 job, if you become an entrepreneur or you become a creative pro, I tried to teach this to YouTubers, is I had new YouTubers start in the pandemic and they were really excited about how much money they made. They were shocked at how much they had to pay in taxes because they started a YouTube channel for the first time, or because they started a Twitch stream, or because they started doing freelancing. They were shocked at their taxes because they didn't realize they were going to get hit with self-employment taxes, and that was going to be 15% on top of regular taxes, and they didn't have any clue about that. And then they had these expenses. They were not used to what making money outside of working a 9-to-5 job looks like. It's a completely different animal. You can't even compare the two things.
Right. Yeah, that is, I think, important. There's a lot of creators that we talk to, and it's a bit of a lack of, and because the success happens so quickly for some folks, right?
Mm-hmm.
That the taxes and the business side of things, you know, getting an accountant, you know, all that stuff kind of takes a back seat. And
yeah, that's where I try to like help, like educate, because it's shell shock. It's shell shock because a lot of people, what they want to do is they want to leave their 9-to-5 job. And I try to like coach them. It's like, you can't just leave your 9-to-5 job when you start making the same amount of money from YouTube or Twitch or TikTok. You cannot do that. And they're like, well, why not? I'm like, well, you're gonna have to cover your own health coverage. And they're like, okay, so I got to make a little bit more. I'm like, you're going to get hit with 15% self-employment taxes. Wait, what? It's like, yeah. And then there's other things you have to do. And then you're like, your 9-to-5 job, you didn't have expenses against that. You have expenses. What if your camera goes out? What if your computer goes out? You need an emergency fund. You need to like get some debt paid off. You cannot just quit your job the minute you start making as much outside of your job. You can't do it. It doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. And then people really, really get themselves into bad situations because they weren't prepared.
That's right. Yeah, it's a wake-up call for a lot of folks out here on YouTube. But it's good that there's guys like you, you know, educating people and educating creators. And I want to get into, I know you shared what you've made. I mean, over $400,000 in the creator economy
in 2021.
In 2021, you showed us so that's awesome. I want to sort of get you to help us break that down into different things. But before we do, I want to say hello to some folks here that are joining us.
Sure.
Japista from, I think I know who you are. You're one of our affiliate partners out in Japan. Awesome. Brand Collins. We got PJ here. PJ, good to see you. PJ's on the road, along with Jamie, our director of marketing, and also Daniel. I feel like you guys are all hanging out at a restaurant right now, tuning in. But yeah, good to see you guys here. Nick as well, our CTO's here, and different folks. Man, we got Sammy and Brock. Awesome. So Roberto, break it down for us, you know, because we talk a lot about different revenue streams for creators, and you know, there's all this stuff with Hang Green and creator funds and AdSense and brand deals and all this stuff. So kind of break us down, whether it's like percentage wise of the 400,000.
I don't even remember the percentages. I don't have a pie chart in front of me. I don't think I made one for last year. I'll just tell you the numbers.
Just give us the numbers.
A lot of people assume, and they watch like some other people do breakdowns, and then they hear coaching and they go, oh, I bet you made most of it from the coaching business. I wish, honestly, I wish that I was making more of it even outside of YouTube, because what you should want is you should want as many revenue streams and income sources as possible. And you shouldn't want to take pride and be like, oh yeah, I make most of my money from my AdSense or from my Twitch because my community supports me and all that. No, that's just ego. That's just ego to want to make it that way. It doesn't matter. You want diversity. You want to diversify your income portfolio so that you have safety and security for you, especially if you have a family. Most of my audience of creators are not young, like 20-something-year-old kids or kids out of college. There are some. Most of my audience is people that are between the ages of 25 and 55. For a lot of people, this is their new career. This is their livelihood. Many of them married and kids. They cannot play around. So they're not playing fast and loose. And they don't have the luxury of like the ego of being, yeah, I make all my money on YouTube. I don't sell nothing or whatever. There's pride and ego in that. Right. So let me just be upfront. What I make from awesomecreatoracademy.com, about 100,000 a year every year since I started doing it. So 100,000 a year on that. That's offline, completely more or less removed from YouTube at this point. And I have other platforms as well. So I have pipelines to grow it beyond YouTube to get customers and clients, especially with Twitter and Instagram. And I was getting my first coaching clients actually from Facebook, believe it or not. I still have a presence in Facebook. Yeah, I was doing Facebook Lives. When I started coaching, I was doing Facebook Lives almost daily. And live streaming gets you a pretty big audience, believe it or not. You may not think so. You may not think so, but when I say a big audience, I mean like a big audience of people usually that also will spend money with you, that are like very loyal, super fans, the kind of people who would give you, invest with their eyeballs and their wallets, not just their eyeballs, but their wallets. They support you with their wallet. So that's a really different audience, right? So with me, we have a bunch of different products there. We have coaching, we have the starter kits. We don't have a course yet. I am working on a brand deal secrets course that will drop at some point this year, because brand deals is probably the biggest revenue stream of 2021, 2021, biggest revenue stream, about $160,000 in brand deals through long-term relationships. So we wanted to help people with a resource with that, with the brand deal starter kit. That's one of our new products there. It's a $99 product. And it just basically helps people who are trying to better understand how to structure, price, pitch, package brand deals. And of course I sell one-on-one coaching, and I help creators largely a lot with monetization, workflow, and audience strategy. So 100,000 from coaching, 160 though from brand deals. Brand deals are most content creators' biggest revenue stream, believe it or not. Now there's a few people, they're bigger ones. Some of them are big on merch. I'm not, I have merch, I have those things, but the number derived from that's not really relevant for the numbers that we're talking about. On affiliate, I think it was about 96,000. So we were just below 100,000 on affiliate. My biggest affiliate, you are the wonderful folks over at TubeBuddy.
Yes.
I do over $5,000 a month on TubeBuddy. My next biggest affiliate is 1,800 after that. I have other affiliates like Epidemic Sound. Some of my big sponsors are TubeBuddy, StreamYard, that do stuff with like Storyblocks. So all the folks. So when you look at like that, it's like, okay, my brand relationships, if you take affiliate and you say, okay, affiliate relationship with brands, you and I know a lot of that's recurring monthly income. So I don't even have to hustle for the amount of money that it takes to like pay my bills. And, my siblings are my housemates. So and I don't charge them rent. So to cover overhead, for my family members, take care of people in my life, I probably off of affiliate marketing, that's recurring income that I don't have to think about, that just shows up to the bank account all the time. That's probably about $7,000 a month I don't think about. That's enough to cover living before taxes with my mortgage. I bought a house last year. So
congrats.
Thank you. That's a big deal. It's actually really interesting to buy a house as a YouTuber too, by the way. It's like you have to have the bookkeeping, you have to have the accountants to do that, you have to have the taxes filed properly. It's a lot. It's a lot harder to do than if you just work for an employer. To buy a house as a self-employed person, especially as a YouTuber, and to have to explain what you do for a living. It's a lot. I make
videos and people pay me for my videos. Trust me.
Yeah, trust me, bro.
Trust me, man.
Yeah. So my brand relationships, if you look at it, the brand relationships are basically worth $250,000, with about 96K being the affiliate relationship,
and then revenues.
Exactly. And then brand deals. Direct brand deals through long-term relationships, plus one-off brand deals. So then you have people are like, okay, well, what about AdSense? Well, the thing is, during the pandemic, I've drastically cut down the amount of content I make. It's not even close. I'm making maybe 50 to 75% less content during the pandemic than I would normally make, is what happened. But now I'm kind of coming back. You know, slowly the sleeper is awakened again. But the pandemic was rough on everybody, you know?
Yeah.
And I get views. A lot of people would a lot of people would be critical of the views sometimes, but they're like actually not bad views when you're talking about an education channel. Most YouTubers over 500,000 subscribers are all entertainers. So they compare me to people at my size level without accounting for my niche and the content type and style. And education videos are hit or miss because everything is down to topic, title, and thumbnail. It's not about subscribership. Subscriber numbers are relevant in an education niche in terms of how an audience responds to certain videos. That's why if you look at my most recent stuff there, a video on brand deals has a market cap for me. It's probably going to be like 10,000 to 15,000 views if I talk about brand deals at best, even over a 30-day period. That's about as good as it can do. But if I talk about making money online, that's going to do well all year, and it can get 25, 30,000 views in a month. If I do a YouTube growth video, it can do 50,000, 75,000, 100,000 views. Someone would say, well, why not just make all YouTube growth videos? It's like, well, that's not how I'm trying to serve my audience. I'm not trying to just make what'll get me the most views or will make me the most money. I could have a strategy for that. If I did what get me the most views, the most subs, or the most money, my channel would look radically, radically different. In fact, if I wanted to make the most money, I would actually just only make the things like 5 ways to make money online that actually work. Because despite that having about 27,000 views and the how to start a full-time successful YouTube channel having almost 80,000 views, like Rob, they have made almost the same money.
Yeah. Or you would just make
CPM is so high on like the CPM on YouTube help videos is half of the the CPMs on a video, like, or sometimes less than half. Sometimes it's a third or a fourth of a versus a make money online video. So getting more views doesn't always matter. And I'll give you an example, Rob. So I got, how many views did I get in the year of, give me a second. I can tell you how many views I got in 2021, and then I'll tell you what I made in ad revenue off of those views, because it'll surprise you, and it'll shock the audience.
I think so.
I think it'll shock the audience, like, to their core, because, you know, I know YouTubers, they get 1 million views. Some of them make $500. If they're lucky, they make $2,000 off 1 million views. 1 million views, right?
1 million views.
1 million views, and they got that on an individual video, right? Rob, I made about $37,000 in 2021, and on AdSense alone, on 2.7 million views, which is probably one of the lowest view years I've ever done because of the pandemic and not making as much content. So I did less than 3 million views, but I made almost $40,000 on less than 3 million views.
Right. So
I can make $12,000 on 1 million views. I can make $12,000 on 1 million views. And just in case people like don't necessarily fully believe that, I can share something from my screen here. Just give me a second. I'm going to share something from my screen. I'm going to show you, most YouTubers don't do this. This is actually one of the other things that's really cool about my channel is I show you the analytics on my actual channel.
All the time.
And I don't do it to brag. I don't do it to brag. I do it because there's no education. There's like almost no education for creators. There's like almost no source of information about this stuff for creators to actually learn from.
Okay, I'm going to share your screen. You good?
Yep, we're good.
There we go.
So this is my screen. And here you go. It's not Photoshop. So this is almost 500,000 views here. This is 400,054 views. So 450,000 views, right? About 500,000 views, and 500,000 views was worth $6,500 for my channel. So when I say 1 million views is worth $12,000, I'm not exaggerating at all. And it's because of these high CPM rates. It's because you can see that I can get these extraordinarily high CPM rates. And if we look at the videos I was talking about, you see that there's a video here that did 800 and another one did 700, but the view difference is massive because we're talking about 80,000 views versus 27,000 views. And if we look at the CPM for this, it's over $50 CPM. And there are individual days when a CPM can spike due to an advertising event. And you can see that the CPM on a video potentially like this, the CPM can be $60 or more, $80 or more on a given day. And it's an evergreen video. This video prints money. If I only wanted to do content that can make this kind of money, Rob, what I would do is I would just make 2 videos about making money online every single week. And I would make, no matter like more or less, like I can guess what the views would be. And I'd probably make about $125,000 a year on AdSense doing that or more. That's all I'd have to do. And so I can see the pattern, but yet if I go to another video, like the YouTube tips video, people, a lot of content creators, they're very obsessed with clout and with views being impressive and impressing people. But notice this, it's half of the CPM,
right,
or less. So for much more views, but less money relative to the views. If getting 3 times the views only made me $100 more, then there's just more potential in making a video that's worth more instead of just getting more views.
Right. So the full formula is not just the number of views. The missing link there is the CPMs, right? Which a lot of people will.
CPM and RPM, but it's also other things and potential, and which videos let you diversify how to make more money as well. Because there was a video that underperformed compared to both of them, but it was a brand deal video, and so it was worth a couple of grand, regardless of how it performs.
That's crazy.
So when you do that, creators at my level can get like more than we can get 5,000 to 25,000 per video. Depending on the circumstances of the campaign on an individual video. If we're doing a massive campaign that's multiple videos involved, you can arrange relationships where you could be 50 or 100K a year in a relationship with a single brand. You mean a 50 to 100K relationship with a brand. That's why with me having a couple brand relationships, that's why I was able to do the amount of money I did last year. So there's this missing link for creators where they're not understanding the concept of income potential, separating that from view potential, and having a balanced approach. And the reason I want to make 3 videos a week going forward is the ability to take a balanced approach to knowing that there are videos that definitely cover me from the ability from them to make the amount of money they need to make to help me pay for my team, make sure I'm covering myself, all of those things, taxes, just knowing that, okay, there's money there, being able to put out maybe a sponsored video to know that, okay, that's paid for and that covers expenses and that's that. And then like another video that I can use to promote something I want to promote, whether it's being able to promote another creator, promote another channel of mine, like my podcast, which got monetized this year. Actually got monetized the end of last year. Or if I want to promote like my music channel, or if I want to promote an affiliate, I just the ability to promote something else that's not a sponsored piece, or also not worry about the ad revenue, knowing that it's like, okay, I can have a video that is for the purposes of doing something else. I can have a video that the subscribers are going to want to watch and rock with, and then I can have like a money making video. So I want to take a balanced approach to YouTube. It's part of that diversification that I talked about your portfolio, so that you have like evergreen content stuff, always makes money. And so that you also have things that can do something else you want to do. Like if you want to promote another piece of content, promote a podcast, do a collab, that, okay, I might have one underperforming video, but I've got 2 other videos, and one's going to be a performer for the views, and another one's going to be a performer on money, and so that's kind of like the strategy that I came up with to balance things. And I don't think a lot of creators think about, I think creators get fixated on like either like clout or cash, and they don't take a balanced approach.
Yeah, no, they don't, for sure. No, this is a great breakdown, man. I want to go down and pull some of these questions and comments real quick.
Okay.
I've got some more questions for you as well. But James says, say it louder. Basically, Doc says, he was saying something around, views is for clout. That's really what it's for. Pandora's 3D film says, interesting comparison. I think that was really interesting as well. It's like really eye-opening. Dalcroft making jokes. Bial Sabison Blake sounds like an expensive law firm. It's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a question here. And I think you're going to talk about brand deals. You touched on it already, but Rich was asking, what's your best tips for landing brand deals? I don't know if you do much work anymore to land brand deals. So, you know, it's a little easier now, or if it's a little easier than, you know, when you started. You've got some
by
credentials.
But also the landscape of that changed, and more companies believe in the creator economy now. So that's a big help tremendously.
How so?
Well, I mean, back in my day, you couldn't even get free products to review, even if you had 30,000 subs.
Really? Man,
I reached out to companies and they wouldn't even send me free products to review, even at 30,000 subs, 50,000 subscribers. The answer was no.
What? Really?
But that was a different time.
That was just a lack of
2015 was a different time.
Yeah.
Ad revenue was not as good as it is back then either.
Right.
A lot of people don't understand how much the landscape has changed over the last few years. It wasn't always profitable. It was like a lot of people were just straight up starving artists. Like, it was not, making a living was for the few. Like, it really was. Right. But to answer the question about
brand deals,
best tips for brand deals. So for one thing, I would like not just say yes to everybody. You already are familiar with some of this with me. It's like, I really think about the audience and what they will accept and what makes sense for them. Absolutely. And I don't want to promote anything that, like, there's only a couple of companies, like, believe it or not, there's thousands upon thousands of companies that will work with creators, but I make it a priority. And I said, I have a tier list. I have a tier ranking for the brands that I would want to work with. And it's about, well, what is my audience value? What brands do they already use? And I ask and I poll my audience. I know what brands they use. I know what camera brands my audience uses, which means they use a lot of Sony cameras like me. I know what software they use. I know what other resources they use. And so working with those brands is never an issue or never a problem. If a new company comes around, I have to vet the company. I have to research the company and say, are they going to stick around? Are they a good company? Make sure they're not a scam. Make sure they're not scamming me. Make sure they're not scamming the audience. And I got to do my research on that if it's a brand new company. And sometimes that means literally meeting people face to face. One of my greatest new relationships is with Creative Juice. And I've met Seema, the founder. I've met people from their team in person. We met them at Vid Summit, and they also were a big presence at Vid Summit. And another reason that helped me vet them was Shelby Church, Graham Stephan, and Mr. Beast all work with them. So that helps me knowing that, okay, legit creators, huge creators that would not risk their reputation are a part of this.
Put their own money into it, right?
They put their own money into it. It's like, it's not a big risk for me and my reputation. I'm not going to get burned here because I wouldn't be a load. So it's like, I'm good. So that really researching the brand you're going to work with, not being desperate to say yes to a deal. A lot of people are desperate to say yes to their first deal because they want the legitimacy of saying they have a sponsor. So now they think that that's how they'll get other ones. And there's some truth to that, but don't be desperate. Always make what's a good balanced deal for you, the brand, and your audience. And the audience has to come first. If it's not good for the audience, it's not good for you. You have to really believe in that too. You have to believe in that. And you also have to be willing to walk away from deals. Now, in terms of landing stuff, it really comes down to making yourself as attractive to the brands as possible. Getting on their radar is one thing.
How would you do that? Couple tips on how to get on the radar.
Follow them in their platforms and interact with their content and be a cheerleader for the brand ahead of time. The brands, they search themselves up and they know who's in their mentions. Retweets and shares and likes are hard as hell to come by. Somebody being generous with that and doing that for them like several times a week doesn't go unnoticed by that social media manager, because there's nobody that's like giving them 10 pieces of engagement every single week and interacting with them. Nobody is. So what I would do is I take everybody off notifications, find like the 20 brands you want to rock with, follow them, turn only them and Roberto Blake on notifications, and then interact with those brands. Share Roberto Blake's content.
I gotta say, this is something you actually do practice, because I don't think I've told you this, but on Twitter, because Twitter is so busy. I've got a couple lists, and you're in one of my lists, and Roberto Blake retweeted, retweeted every single day. It's got to be at least 10 to 15 retweets a day from like different brands. So
yeah,
I believe it. That works.
It's if you literally watch how I do that for my brand partners and stuff like that, and you watch how I manage that relationship, it's a really good example. And this is the kind of thing that, again, this is going to be in my Brand Deal Secrets course. This is why I teach my, coaching clients. I had a client that he was like theoretically going to be, he's in a very niche channel. He has 100,000 subscribers. He's in a very niche channel in a very specific industry, and it's a regulated industry too. So there's only so many details I can give. He was going to work with a company. He was going to do a review and like have their product for like 6 months and do a long-term review. And it's a very important product for people for their everyday life, for their lifestyle, if they have these specific circumstances, right? And so he came to me and he was like talking about how to make sure he gets even $5,000 for this deal. And I explained to him the circumstances that we were talking about. I was like, we can do better. And I helped them structure a deal for 18 grand.
Wow.
He comes back to me, is like, Roberto, we got to, because of your suggestions and because of you asking them about licensing, we were able to do the licensing fee thing that you talked about. And I made them choose between a 6-month and a 12-month license of using my face and likeness to promote the product and to be able to use some of the pieces of the content to run their own ads, for them to make their own ads using pieces of my content. And so what happened was, he was like, dude, we ended up in a 25 grand package, and we have an arrangement after this to do some separate work for me to do stuff on their platforms, exclusively on their platforms for them, where they own that piece and I keep my IP. And he was like, and there's a couple more grand on the table in that. So he got to almost 30 when he was hoping to get 5, because we talked about the importance of restructuring a long-term deal. Because the thing is, we're talking about, I got him to restructure this and look at the fact that it's like, it's not just a 6-month review. Like, it's not just a, here's this now, here's a 1-month review, and then here's me again in 6 months for this product. I was like, that's a 6-month relationship. So let's go back to the table with this, and let's put together an a la carte package of you get this, you get this, you get this. And then let's talk about exclusivity and licensing rights. And let's like look at, okay, exclusivity, I won't work with these people. It's a long period of time though, but here's why it's worth it for me to not talk about competitors, but but 6 months is a long time for me to say no to things. So that's worth more money now, ain't it? And then, you're going to use what I made instead of paying an ad agency all this money, and you're going to run the ads? Well, that's more money. And how long am I going to let you do that? Well, that's more money. Right. So he structured out this thing, and they ended up putting together a great deal. And he wouldn't have done that on his own, because he'd never been paid that kind of money. So it wouldn't occur to him.
Yeah. Yeah. It's understanding your value, it seems like, right? Like I think that's one of the biggest things. The YouTubers and content creators have so much value, but there's like, I don't know. Am I worth it? Would they pay this much?
Well, they also don't understand what the arrangement is, because they're just thinking about, well, what's the value of a video? And it's more than that. Yeah. It's not about the value of the video. They don't understand that it's about, what does this contract represent? Right. Just the fact that you can't work with competitors is an opportunity cost. Because what if they come with money? You're saying no to something. And then how much money is that? Well, how many competitors could you have worked with? Well, how much money is that? Creators don't think, but it's partly just because, again, when they're starting out, there's not that much information on the business of being a content creator and working in the creator economy.
Not at all.
Because most of us, frankly, who teach it, there's only certain questions we're asked, and we keep having to make repetitive videos about those, or they underperform. Like how I said, okay, I know that brand deals video underperforms. These questions are important, but most people, they oversimplify, like what a brand deal is. So it's not even occurring to them. And then they're like, I don't want to watch a 20-minute video about this. But then you're going to be mad when you feel that, like, well, why did my homie get $5,000 and I only got 3? Well, maybe if you had like educated yourself more, you could have not missed. You weren't willing to give up 20 minutes to make another $2,000. That's why your homie got 5,000 and you got 3.
That's it. That's real talk, man.
Yeah, real talk though. But creators don't understand what's in the contracts that they're signing. Most creators don't even understand the terms of service of the platforms a lot of times. And then they don't understand things like I talked about with how some topics you can measure and say this video has more ad revenue that it can make because of its CPM. And this video makes half the CPM. So getting more views wouldn't even be, I'd rather get more views on the thing that has a higher CPM. If I can juice more views on something that has a higher CPM, that's more valuable than just trying to get more views on a video that's already getting views.
That's it. That's it. All right. Well, we're awake. So now this is good. This is really good information. There's a follow-up here. I think it's a great follow-up from James. And he kind of touched on this as well, Roberto, but knowing how to price your services for brand deals, some general rules and tips, is there like a formula that you go by sometimes? Is it more of an art? It's more of an art than science?
No, it's not an art, but it's more of understanding, putting together an itemized a la carte invoice. And this is something I understand because I was a freelancer. I was a freelance graphic designer. I was a freelance video editor. I was a freelance writer before any of you ever knew about me on YouTube. And so I was making a full-time income because I was invoicing clients for services rendered. And so when you think about video, well, one of the first things is don't take a deal based on how many views a video gets. Do not sign a contract that has you give a guarantee of views because you can't control the algorithm. You can't control that outcome. It's deliverable based. It's value based rather than performance based. It's value based versus performance based. They value the reputation of working with you. They value the work that you're doing. They value being associated with you, or they don't. That's it. If they want to pay for the amount of, based on the amount of views that something gets, they should just go buy an ad because Google will guarantee them a certain amount of views for a certain amount of money. That's what Google advertising is for. If they want that guarantee, buy advertising. If you want the credibility that a creator provides, pay their price.
Right.
So that's as much advice to brands out there as it is to creators, by the way. So brands, if you want a guarantee of views, you just go buy advertising. Don't buy the credibility of a creator. If you want the credibility of a creator, you pay what they ask you, or you don't, and you find somebody and you agree to a price. That's it. But don't be saying if you want views and you want a guarantee of performance views, you go to Google, you go to Facebook, and you pay what they want to give you for guaranteed views, and you don't use the credibility of a creator. You don't access their audience.
Yeah. So on that same vein, then let's talk to the creator. Then what is the value that the creator, like there's the value of the credibility, the trust, the loyalty of the audience. What else is there that the creator?
Well, there's the simple fact that you're the talent. If you go right now and if you decide to be an extra here in Atlanta and work on Marvel or The Walking Dead, even if they cut you out of the end credits or the scene that you did, they still pay you a day rate. They still gonna pay you a day rate. You can sit up here, you can have no followers, no clout, show up, have the look, be an extra, be a model, and still get $800 for the day and not even be in the ad at the end of it. Or not even be in the film. But just for being on set that day, you still would get like $800. If you're gonna get $800, $1,000 to be a model or an extra, and you're not even necessarily guaranteed to be in the thing, and they're not asking you to promote it or give it any traffic, why are you taking so little on a brand deal when you're the talent, you're the video creator, as far as the producer, the cinematographer, you're writing the script, you're doing the research, you're filming the thing, you're editing the thing, and you're the talent, then you're bringing your reputation, putting your name on the line, associating with these people. Then you're also giving them distribution, promotion, and access to an audience they didn't already have. Right. Sheesh. That's a lot of things to think about what the value is of worth. And you're sitting here worrying about your view and subscriber count.
Right. That's a lot. Very good. There you go, James. Hopefully that answers your question, gives you some, some thoughts on how to price that out. If you have a follow-up on that, if you want to go a little bit deeper on brand deals, let us know. There's another really good question here from Pastor Vaughn Sanders. Also, hey, Chantel, good to see you here. There is a question here. Here we go. Have you guys talked about creating courses and coaching? Not yet. Wondering where I should start. Yeah. Where do you start? If you have a YouTube channel, free content, now you want to sell it for a fee. You want to sell content for a fee. Courses.
Well, for one thing, be prepared for some criticism. There's some people who don't believe in the idea of courses, and they think, well, I can learn everything on free on YouTube or whatever. Well, actually, you can't. First of all, you can't. And here's part of why. You can't, because every YouTube content creator puts out content for free is not putting it out for free. They're putting it out in exchange for ad revenue, which means that the content they're providing you has to be whatever they know will pass advertiser-friendly guidelines. That's number one. Number two, they're doing it knowing that they're playing within YouTube's rules, YouTube's terms of service. So that's number two. Now, number three, they're also making it trying to get the most clicks and views possible, the most retention and watch time, because that's how they're going to get promoted. That's what's going to give them more YouTube credibility. That's what's going to influence their brand deals. So a creator is not going to give you content for free on YouTube that hurts them in YouTube, hurts their potential to get brand deals in the future based on the views, is not going to make them ad revenue. So the thing is, you're not getting pure, clean education content for free. You're getting content for free that is already dictated and censored, soft censored from the perspective of what's good to put out on YouTube or whatever free platform is monetized with ads or whatever have you. So it's not education that is made purely in the interest of the exchange between the teacher, the coach, and the student, the client. It's not. It's packaged for YouTube and its algorithm. So free content is not better than paywall content because it's not pure and because it's censored and because it's already made for the algorithm and not for the student. So the price of free content is content that's been watered down and censored. So the thing is, if you're okay with that and that's good enough for you, because again, it makes the value of free education only really the fact that it's free. Right. Because you see it right now that education content on YouTube is what are they doing? It's not real education anymore. It's chock full of freaking memes and it's edited in a style that is made. Everyone's trying to be Mr. Beast in their education content instead of just actually teaching people what they want and need to know.
For watch time and engagement
and retention and ad revenue and to get views so that they can get sponsors later. So since they don't, and largely they act as if they're doing you a favor, not charging you for the content. When the thing is, it just means that they're avoiding the criticism of having to sell anything and then just passively making the revenue. And you're not necessarily getting the best learning experience that they could offer you.
Right.
And I know that because I've actually bought, for mostly research purposes, I've bought the courses from YouTubers and I've sat there and compared it to their free content. And I realized this is what they would, if they were unfiltered, don't have to be criticized publicly. And if they're unfiltered and if they don't have to pander to the algorithm and do that style, this is how much of a teacher they can be. And it's actually, I'm like, oh, wow, this is so good to have them just give it to me straight and not give me fluff and memes and editing and visual effects and all that nonsense. This is just really good. And they've got facts and they're so smart and like, wow, why is there oh, wait, because their YouTube channel has to be edutainment. And what I got to buy was pure education. Right. And there's a difference. And so there's that part of it. The other part of it is that there's a such thing as convenience. If you look for free content, it's inconvenient as hell because it's also not curated in the right order. So you don't know if you're watching something in the right order. And even if somebody put out a course in the right order, structured on YouTube, all that stuff, YouTube's algorithm will not recommend it. So it's not as useful. It's not that useful because it's still down to the choice being made for you by the algorithm. No offense, YouTube. No offense. But YouTube is great for learning one thing at a time. Mm-hmm. YouTube is great for a DIY, a tutorial, how to tie a tie, how to restain your cabinet. It is good, like how to learn a specific feature of Photoshop. It is good for that. Right. But something that is a massive, intensive process to learn, or something that is very in depth to learn over the course of 20 hours of information that you might want to process, it's not good for that, Rob. It is not good for that. You will have to spend 500 hours educating yourself for free when you could have paid and gotten 20 because you would have had continuity. So it's in the right order. Right. It would have been curated down to here is the relevant information that you want for the process. And then it's also consolidated and it's the most convenient version of it. And it's also all made at the same time. If you watch videos that are free on YouTube, they could be made for this whole thing. They could have been made weeks, months, or years apart. And that's a breakdown in teaching something. So getting it all taught and set up in such a way where the course was made, in a reasonable time frame all together and shot in order and makes sense, it's much more reasonable. So that's one thing to understand, is understanding even for yourself. Here's what the value of free versus paid content is to the learner. And it's the unrestricted, unfiltered, uncensored version of something. And it means also that it's not made for the algorithm, which means if it only takes 2 minutes to explain something, it's 2 minutes. If it takes 20 minutes, it's 20 minutes. It's not, oh, I need to cut this down for the algorithm. Oh, I need to drag this out for the ad revenue. None of that nonsense, because that's the difference. If you learn something in a course, 2 minutes is 2 minutes, 5 minutes is 5 minutes. If it's on YouTube, it's dragged out for the ad revenue.
Love that. Love that. That is a really strong point that we need to make here, because you're in the course, you're not going to get the B-roll, and you're not going to get all the, hey, make sure you subscribe. And like you said, you're not going to get no fluff. You're not going to get it extended to 8 minutes so that you can have mid-roll ads, right? All of those things.
Yeah. It's like, it is saving the real value of courses versus things is buying a course versus consuming free content. You ask yourself one thing: do I value time or do I value money? Which one? And depending on where you are in life, that choice might be made for you. So that's fine. But it comes down to, do I value learning something and being able to move forward on it in the most expedient, most effective way possible? Or am I going to mess around and at $0 just have some of my time wasted? Is that worthwhile to me? So the thing is, I'd rather spend money, because the thing is, in the worst case scenario, in some cases, if a course isn't good, you can get your money back. There are criteria for that, obviously. But here's the thing. Oh, I didn't give up any money, but I did waste time. You can't get time back, and there's no way around that. You can always make more money.
That's true. That's true. Good comment here from Pandora's 3D Films. Helpful for many things. If it's complex with moving pieces, paid is way better. YouTube is great for finding those quality paid courses, though, from someone you, the viewer, likes and trusts. So I
agree with that.
This is a good point, actually, because we were talking to Jim Lauterbach from VidCon.
Yeah, so Jim's great.
Yeah, so he was saying there's a difference between discovery channels and revenue channels. And so sometimes YouTube is where you get discovered. TikTok is where you get discovered.
Yes. And
you make your revenue somewhere else. So you don't get choked that, hey, I'm not getting paid on TikTok. I'm not getting paid on Instagram Reels.
Yes.
If you're not in the fund. Because if you're using it properly for what it's designed for, which is discovery, not revenue.
Exactly. There's a discovery engine, like what the way he's saying. I like the way he's saying, but I would say, you have a discovery engine and then you have a revenue engine. And so I like that idea. I like that distinction. And I would definitely say that TikTok and YouTube Shorts are good discovery engines, but they're not really good revenue engines.
Yeah, exactly. Did you see though today that apparently YouTube had that Shorts that they're gonna be doing super thanks for Shorts? I don't know. We'll see how that.
We'll see how that goes, because here's the thing: I don't really believe that Shorts consumers, and I could be wrong, and I could be hyper judging this, but I'm not convinced that Shorts consumers, on average, are going to drop coins on their favorite Shorts creators. Not at scale. Maybe a handful of people, sure, but not at scale. It's nice that they're doing it, but super thanks aren't even happening on regular recorded videos, from what I can tell.
That's true.
And because even we as the viewers can see them when they show up. And I ain't seeing them on some creators like Philip DeFranco. I don't hardly ever see him or nothing. So I don't really know how effective. Maybe I'll ask a bunch of creators in Twitter if they've gotten super thanks and like how much they're making off of it, because I don't really see that. It'd be nice, but and again, it's early though. It might take time. Maybe the culture changes. Could be interesting. I like the idea of anything that lets people support creators with their wallets. I'm just convinced that the Shorts audience is mostly young. They don't got a lot of disposable income. And I see them doing it super chats, maybe, but I don't know about super thanks on Shorts. I could see them saying thanks on a long form video. I could see them doing super chats. There's a little bit of acknowledgement and even clout for them in doing that, but not on Shorts, I don't think.
Yeah. And it goes so fast. What if by the time you're like, I'm going to do a super thanks, it's already in the next short. So
I think it loops. I don't think it would, because you have to swipe Shorts.
That's true. Yeah, very good. Doc Rock, another comment. Doc Rock wants you to head to Japan. So when are you going to come to Japan?
Let me finish getting settled into the new house, and then finish passport shenanigans, and then I'm happy to go to Japan. I've been wanting to go to Japan forever, and Doc Rock knows what a nerd and what an anime weeb I am. So yeah,
That's
like
right. That's
Japan
right.
is like the fantasy. It's like go there and yeah, like I might not come back.
Well, you can access YouTube over there. So on that, where are you doing any, do you have any plans for events, in-person stuff this year? Just
Yes,
for the
there's
crowd
a
that might want
creator
to.
economy expo, which
Nice.
is CEX, I believe
CEX,
is,
that's right.
yep,
That's right.
CEX.
Yeah.
So doing that, I believe that I'm going to be speaking at Vid Summit again, as per usual.
Yeah.
I have to talk to Jim and see if we can just like bring my grand return to VidCon. I've done it in person and I've done it virtually.
That's right.
Let's do it in person again. As far
it.
as me speaking on stage, I spoke on stage VidCon 2018 for my birthday. It was my birthday. Yeah. And so that was cool. And then the following year, there was like a mix up because of the Viacom stuff. And so I wasn't on the schedule, but you and the TubeBuddy crew hooked me up and I did a Q&A at your booth and some interviews, and that was dope. And then after that, of course, we had the wonderful pandemic. We had the Pandy and we had Pandy Rona. So that Pandy Rona. So like so then I did the virtual one. I think I did that both years. I did the virtual. So and so
you got to make it back.
We're doing it in purpose. I want to do it like in person again. Social media marketing world. That's what's up. Social media marketing
that's
world.
right. That's right. Well, we'll see you there then. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yep.
San
So
Diego.
it's like, so you're gonna get as much Roberto as you can handle.
Well,
I probably go to ClamorCon.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Nice. That's in ClamorCon. That's a fun one.
I think we're gonna go. I think we're to Arizona this year.
Arizona. Yeah. That sounds right.
Oh, we can go to Grand Canyon.
There you go. There you
go.
Bring
the Sony. Get all the shots.
Perfect. Yeah, I know Doc Rock and the Ecamm crew will be in social media marketing world. So there you go. We'll all hang out there. James Hicks says, Roberto, no holds barred. Love it. Knowledge is power and profitable.
Yes.
We got Kevin from Florida. Awesome. There is a question, Roberto. This is kind of different. This is a bit of a different. I'm going to read it out. This is from Facebook. So,
okay.
Wendy May says, you've shared before that sometimes you struggled with mental health. How do you balance being a successful influencer business owner with self-care? Do you do anything to preemptively run your channels or business so that you can better manage them when there are periods when your mental health is influencing your ability to do so? So yeah, mental health and being a creator, man, like just so many different things.
I learned that the hard way during the pandemic. I'd had systems in place before in my earlier YouTube career that were better, but I increased my quality so much that made it unsustainable to do my previous systems. So now I'm about to work with the team over at VidCharge, and they're going to take over my editing. And so that means I'll be able to just film for my main channel. They'll handle the editing. Live streaming is going to help me. Managing and understanding what things affect my mental health. I learned in the pandemic to turn off the news, frankly. And so now I just basically get my news from Philip DeFranco. I try, it may not seem like it, but I actually try to manage or limit my Twitter use, believe it or not. It may not seem like it, but I used to be on Twitter much more and I used to tweet more.
Really?
No.
I mean, can I just say that because you're on there? I mean, I see
used to,
a lot.
Dude, I used to be 200 tweets a day. I used to be 200 tweets a day or more. And I used to like, I used to reply and respond to just about every question. I still kind of respond to every question, but I'm also not prompting and triggering more questions these days. Sometimes it depends. But it's much more balanced now. I have a daily routine and a schedule for the most part. I make exceptions to my schedule, like this, podcast, this interview that we're doing. I do exceptions. So like part of my stuff though is I do have a morning and evening routine. You'd be surprised how much a morning and evening routine is. My sister works for me. Hiring her as my personal assistant was one of my best mental health choices because I have someone working with me throughout the day. And she's also one of my housemates. So it's like I have someone who lives and works with me that understands me, grew up with me, and knows how I think, what makes me comfortable, what helps maintain me, and can keep me on task, hold me accountable, remind me to do the things that I'm supposed to be doing for myself or for the business, keep track of things I forget, leave me notes, make comments on things that can be improved in the workflow, restock things when I forget to do it, order things. It's very valuable to have a team in place to support. I have the wonderful Andy Rivera. She is one of my first hires. She's in New York, remote work, like having her do a lot of stuff in terms of Awesome Creator Academy. She helps with operations and co-host the live trainings. So having someone else to hold me accountable, someone else to show up, someone who can show up when I'm not there. If I have to be out or something like that, Andy can do the live training calls just as well as I can in many cases, as long as it's not specific to like a YouTube analytics type question or something like that. Andy can run the show just as well as me in terms of Awesome Creator Academy and the coaching. So when I can't be there for our 2 group coaching, because I have a group on top of one-on-one coaching, I do group coaching. So for our members, she can show up and they love her. And we've been working together for like 2.5 or 3 years. So we were working together before the pandemic. So we've been working together since 2019. So having somebody that can take over a very significant part of my business and income, that's very helpful. Having somebody that can help run day-to-day operations here with me as a personal assistant, that's mad helpful. Hiring my brother to be able to help me with certain individual projects on a project by project basis because he does his own thing, that's extremely helpful. Hiring my other sister to help shoot the B-roll, that is extremely helpful. Being able to work with freelancers on Fiverr, it's allowed me to spin up the new music channel. The music channel is thriving because of the people that I hire over there. The new thing, Rob, that's going to help with mental health and balance is just being able to film as much content in advance, knowing that the team at VidCharge will be able to edit it. And then the podcast is easy because it's a live stream, and StreamYard's the perfect solution, for that. So VidCharge, from our good friend Nick Nimmin, that's his editing team. Yep. Fully service concierge editing team, not a chop shop. And it's reasonable. I can take money from the brand deals and go ahead and just pay to have, editors for my main channel and if I get another side channel besides, because I don't need editing for the podcast. Andy edits the audio, just clipping off the Q&A at the end for the podcast. And then that gets posted and distributed to Spotify, Apple, all the places, Amazon, all of them. So the podcast part, that's covered, so we've got that. But for the main channel, having VidCharge help me with that and edit probably a good bulk of the content, that's going to be massively helpful and help me get to my 3 videos a week, because maybe they're editing 2 of them. Maybe I'm editing 1 of them, but it'll get me ahead. It'll mean I have a stockpile. It'll mean that I'm on a schedule, and it'll be great. And that'll bring consistency. And it's a fraction of the revenue. So that's fine. If I want to spin off and finally get the more Roberto Blake channel monetized, the behind the scenes channel, if I want to get that monetized, once it is, I can I can justify paying them. And that's a once a week channel. I could just have them edit it.
There it is. So, I mean, it's really a matter of delegating and building a team around you, whether it's from Fiverr for now or hiring somebody full-time, right? Or part-time,
all my people are part-time right now.
Part-time in-house.
Ironic. We're so efficient, ironically, that it does not take anyone, even me, probably a full 40 hours per se.
Right.
I'm just shy of 40 hours. And sometimes I do go to 40 hours or over, but it's balanced. You'd be surprised how balanced my work day is. The thing that makes me go over 40 hours, honestly, is doing live streams and podcasts with people. That's really all that's the only reason I ever hit over 40 to 60 hours is mostly just live streams. Because I can end up on Nick Nimmin live stream for 3 hours, right? I can end up on my own podcast live streams longer than the hour and a half that I'm supposed to. I can end up going for 2 hours on those. So it's and then I can get dragged into wonderful interviews like this. So it's really mostly the interviews, podcast, and those things that end up pushing my hours. The hours to shoot and edit are actually not that bad because we're just so efficient. We're so efficient that and then the coaching calls, those are rigorously scheduled. My one-on-one coaching, that's rigorously scheduled. The meetings with brands, those they don't want to sit there on the phone or on Zoom forever. I mean, sometimes they kind of do. We just started enjoying each other's company. But as far as what it actually takes, we keep those calls to 15 to 30 minutes. It's
easy.
Yeah, it's easy. So it's just a matter of being scheduled, and it's a matter of being structured, and a matter of creating some boundaries in the way that, the one good comparison between YouTube and a 9-to-5 job is I would tell y'all to try to just actually make a schedule and stick to it. But even at your 9-to-5 job, your boss is probably wasting 10 hours a week of your time. It probably, to do your job, only takes 25 hours, 30 hours a week. If you're anything like me, to do the actual work that you were assigned, it doesn't take you the full 40 hours. They want you to do that busy work so that you can justify a salary. You can get the work done in 20, 25, 30 hours. So then, you know, you'd have all this free time. It's the same thing with YouTube. If you make it take longer, everything will take longer if you're being a perfectionist. But once you got it down, and it took me years, but once I got my stuff down, I'm like, here's what it is. It ain't nothing more than that. This is how long it takes me to do something, and don't be extra. And that's, I mean, it's hard to stick to that as a creative. You want everything to be the best it can be, but there's a point where enough is enough. You got to set boundaries and got to say, okay, I'm done. I have to go eat lunch. I'm done. I have to go, and I have to go do my workout at, you know, in the gym. It's like, I'm done. I got to do this. I mean, the next step for me is once I get on track and I have the video editors, dude, once the video editing stuff is in place, I'm going to either take a martial arts class, get a personal trainer, or both, which, by the way, is surprisingly not as expensive. It's not as extravagant as it sounds. I'm not some rich guy out here. It's not as extravagant as it sounds. I live in Georgia. Stuff is hell of affordable. Like, I ain't in LA like these other people. I ain't in LA or New York. Me, everything I do costs like 25% of what those people's stuff cost out here, because Georgia is amazing. So
yeah. No, that's
Georgia cheap.
Yeah. It's awesome. Very good. All right. I got another question here. Speaking of, no, I thought it was martial arts, but no, it's arts. Pandora's Films, for a sort of, I don't know what sort of means. Let us know what that means. Art channel that doesn't do too much tutorial content. I can do affiliates and brand deals. I have some merch ideas. But I'm stuck for other options. Any other ideas?
It depends on what kind of art we're talking about. I mean, you could look at, Sam Does Art isn't necessarily a tutorial channel. I consider him entertainment. Same thing with Jazza. Same thing with Ergo Josh. I don't necessarily consider them tutorial channels. Ross Draws. These are not necessarily tutorial channels. So if you're talking about art, and if you're talking about either digital art or fine art, I would pick up some pointers kind of from watching them and what they do. Sure, you can do brand deals. Sure, you can do affiliate deals. You can also make print on demand products. And I'm not just talking merch. I'm talking, you could build, like, you could do what, God, who am I thinking of? There's this dude, God, who am I thinking of? He does Dominic. This dude, Dominic Glover, Dominic Glover, does these amazing anime canvas prints, and he has his own shop on through Shopify, and his stuff is dope. And his canvases, some of them start at like $80 on his Shopify store, and he's a G. Like, Dominic Glover is like a G. And the thing is, you may not think he's a big deal because you're looking, you know, as YouTube. His Instagram, on the other hand, and the amount of money he makes because of his print selling, oh, it's nice. And boy, is nice. His stuff is amazing. So yeah, he's bigger on Instagram. Artists like him, YouTube, you see that, you know, he has a 1K on YouTube. Oh, that's nice. It's like, but you see his Instagram and you see the engagement he gets. It's like, yeah, 122K. Like, so yeah. So don't be sleeping. Right. Don't be sleeping on some people just because they're YouTube. And look at his stuff. So like, you can see,
nice.
Dude is nice.
It is good. Yeah, it's really nice. Good.
And so you can buy these prints from his Shopify store, and he's like, he gets hella traffic. He does really nice. So it's not about just merch and people want to wear these t-shirts or anything like that. Posters, man, prints, canvases.
Yeah.
So this could be a big deal. If you can get the right relationship with a brand might co-produce a physical product with you, like Peter McKinnon. So there's all kinds of opportunities. And then, like, if you're known, maybe you're known for your art, there's nothing that says you can't spin up a podcast channel and then get a bunch of different sponsors because of that. That's part of why, if my podcast even gets to 10,000 subs, you know, Rob, I will probably be making about as much money from brand deals as I am on the main channel, because a podcast with 10,000 subscribers is a different animal. And as it is, in the first week of upload, we get 300 downloads on the audio side in first week of upload. So By the way, yeah, that puts you in the first, that puts you in the top 50% of all podcasts in America. Like, so that's a bit in the world, not just America, in the world.
Yeah.
So where our goal is to get up to, 1,000 downloads in 30 days, because that puts us in the top 20% of all podcasts. And we can get there, because we're pulling the numbers we are now at 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. The podcast gets more love, gets some more notoriety. Then all of a sudden, the podcast is a viable platform to make $100,000 a year in sponsors. Even at 10,000 subs, a podcast that is long form, over an hour, and can pull downloads on audio can justify those rates.
Yeah. It all really,
and you get to plug more spots, obviously. And in my case, the podcast has somewhere between $20 to $40 CPMs too, by the way. So
there you go. Yeah. It's just more real estate that you can offer to brands, for ads and ad space and brand deals. So yeah, that's good. Vaughn Sanders says, I want one of those prints. Awesome ideas. Yeah. Hopefully that helps. I mean,
Dominic Glover, man.
Glover. Yeah. Killing it. All right. We got from Estavo here. I made 100 videos in 100 days from my channel, which I think is one of your advice when you're starting out.
Yeah. Not the 100 days, but the 100 videos. Yeah.
The 100 videos. Yeah. So best video was 101. I built a base. What do you think I should do next?
Look at all the data from those videos and look at all the performance data. So if you look at all of the performance data and you look at the top 10, top 20, you'll recognize some patterns and some things about the audience, and that'll give you really good decisions for making the next 100 videos, all designed to perform as well as the top 10, top 20. So if the next 100 videos are all even better than video 101, and they're designed based off of video 101 and the other top 9, then now you're making 100 of your outlier performers as your standard. As an anime reference, it's like making Super Saiyan your standard every day. It's like everyday Super Saiyan. So it's making your ultimate form your daily instead of something special. Oh, my peak is my daily now. Yeah. So it's your new standard. Your new standard is your maximum, all day, every day. And the thing is, now that that's your baseline, then being special is really extra. So that's how you would do it. And that's how a lot of people that I've coached, they don't understand that concept until I really show that. Because the thing is, they also don't know how to measure the analytics a lot of times. And again, they miss things because we talk about their goals. And some of them, it is the ad revenue. And I'm like, then stop worrying and stop chasing these videos that got all these views. And let's look at getting more views on high CPM videos. And then all of a sudden, they're making the kind of money that you make a living off of. But they had to learn to get out of their head about, they're focused on views. Some people don't care about the money and they're in a situation where they don't have to. Or they'll make it down the road later because maybe their circumstances are okay and they can make content and keep their job, whatever. So what we then look at, I'm like, okay, well, what do you want? And they're like, I want that silver play button. I was like, okay, bet. Go ahead and let's look at the only exclusively videos that drive subscribers to your channel. Because I bet you there's something that drives subscribers to your channel more than the other stuff. And sure enough, that's why even with me, I know that if I make every week this year, if I made a YouTube growth help video every week for the rest of the year, and on top of making a money-making video or this or that, I know I'll get another 100,000 subscribers this year. I'll go from 550 to 650 as long as I make a YouTube growth video every week without missing. Why? Because I already know the pattern of how many subscribers I get off of that. So if there's another 45 weeks in the year or something, let's say there's another 45 weeks in a year, and I already know that I get on average at least 2,000 subs off of that type of content. That type of content gives me a direct path to getting 100,000 new subscribers. So I can just plot off of that. I know that the Make Money Online stuff makes less in terms of the subscribership, but I know what it can average in ad revenue. So I know that if I make a Make Money Online video, I know that for the year, it's going to do over $1,000 for the year. So, if I make 40 more of that for the year, then, my baseline income would be 40,000. So you can math your way to mapping whatever outcome you want. You can take whatever outcome you want, go into your analytics, dissect a goal and tie it to a data point, and then scale the data point.
Right. Just create more of whatever was getting more subscribers, if that's your goal, or views, if that's your goal,
or money, if that's your
goal. If that's your goal. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Great. So Estavo says this is pure gold. Next question here real quick, guys. Rapid fire. If you guys have any questions, drop them in. I'm gonna take probably a few more, Roberto. I know you like usually go for 2 or 3 or 4 hours.
I don't have to go that long, and it's getting late.
I want to respect your time. Yeah. So we'll take a couple more here. So Dustin Miller says, just for my LLC, as I needed for my growth. But what do you advise that I do next as a creator?
I would say, since you formed your LLC, that if you haven't already, look into getting a bookkeeping service. If you go on my channel, you'll see a link for Bench Accounting. I recommend them. They can do bookkeeping and they can do taxes for you. They have CPAs. They'll do all of that. And they also have software on top of giving you a human team. So you'll be working with that team. You can reach out to them and you can talk to them and ask questions whenever you need to. They'll message you back through your app, all these things. They'll help classify all your stuff. They'll save you more money than you spend with them in terms of the taxes. Do not underestimate the taxes. Everyone underestimates the taxes. It's worth it to pay somebody that's got that as nothing but their focus. A specialization in taxes is worth paying for. So that's definitely a big part of it. Another thing I would look at for you is I would look at, again, not financial advice.
Disclaimer.
Putting a portion of your YouTube money, if you're good and you're covered, aside from putting away money for your taxes, put away money for your retirement, because as a content creator, again, you don't, unless you make your own 401k, you don't have one. So you can look at getting something like a 401k, a Roth 401k, a SEP IRA. You can look at whatever situation. You can talk to you can probably talk to a financial advisor at your bank, but just make sure that they are operating in a capacity, hopefully maybe as a fiduciary, to where they can't promote a product that's a conflict of interest. And so make sure that you're in that situation, so they can't just like upsell you on something for the best interest of the bank per se. And just use them to get a good grasp of more financial literacy and advice, because one of the biggest things is, as a YouTuber, is if you're trying to do this full time and seriously, and you've never been an entrepreneur before that's had to deal with these issues, there's a lot you just don't know and don't understand that you're gonna have to get your feet wet into. And it's overwhelming sometimes, but learning it, and you can't just learn it. You may, as a YouTuber, be used to learning it all on the internet, but it's worth going and talking in person or on the phone or over Zoom to a fiduciary, a financial advisor, a financial planner, a CPA, an accountant. It's worth hearing them out. And they may not understand YouTube, but they understand money. And if you just explain some of your circumstances to them, they can really give you some really helpful information and just kind of get you informed. And it could be a good intro, so that when you are looking up stuff online on your own, you have a basis for understanding it, and somebody walked you through it and held your hand through it, so to make sure that you do understand, and that you're not just assuming that you understand, but that somebody who does it for a living told you that your grasp of it is good, so that you're not out there underestimating this stuff or thinking you're smarter than you are and then making mistakes that are very hard to undo. So you want to make sure that you're getting the right information, that you're getting accurate information. And that's going to come from people, when it comes to something like finance, it's going to come from people who really truly have a background in it, really truly are credentialed in it. You can take a little bit of advice from people on the internet. It's not the same thing though. So that's just a thought, is I would really, really make sure that the financial piece is something you try to get a firmer grasp of.
Yeah. Good advice. Good advice. All right. Couple more questions here. One, you have a podcast. Estevo has a podcast as well. Do you recommend always doing this on a separate channel?
Yes.
There you go. Quick answer.
100% yes.
Why yes? Why yes?
Well, it's not just algorithmically, it's audience behavior. Like we keep saying, the audience is the algorithm, and that's facts. And the thing is, for me, that means that it's down to, and it's about the algorithmic behavior. So it's, the audience behavior. It's about the fact that if you have been conditioning people to watch short form content or content of a certain length, getting them to strap in for an hour-long podcast is a very different thing. You also are going to cover radically, potentially different topics on the podcast. It also gives you more freedom. Frankly, it also means you're not risking messing with the main channel. It gives you another intellectual property, another IP. So you could probably double up on brand deals if you have a successful podcast channel. It's worth it. Not to mention, by having a podcast channel, if you do it live stream wise like me, then you have the ability to monetize with super chats. My podcast has 2,000 subscribers. We did $1,000 last month in revenue. Most of that probably was super chats. We did about maybe 200 in ad revenue on a 2,000 subscriber channel. We did 200 in ad revenue. We did 1,000 in super chats. It's worth it to have a loyal, dedicated podcast audience that you can measure exclusively, separate from your main channel audience. It also makes it easier and cleaner for your editors to take the audio and do it if it's just a separate channel, because then you're not giving those same people permissions to your main YouTube channel. So that just makes security better too, to be frank.
Yeah.
So it's just wildly more practical. And so that's why I do it that way. And this lets me also experiment with unique titles, do different things. I can make a variety of episodes and not worry about their performance dragging down the main channel and then that affecting sponsorships because the average views being off or anything of that nature. So it's worth it, in my opinion. I know everyone's like, oh, but then I have to maintain 2 channels. You're literally just pushing a button that says switch account.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
This is not hard.
It's not hard. It's not hard. The other thing, I think we were talking about mental health earlier. I think it's actually really healthy for creators to have this long form platform where you're not rushing engagement and watch time and making sure that, I think it's just, for myself.
And you might get to express yourself more. It's been great for me to be able to express myself. Everyone's compliments is like, it feels like you really enjoy the podcast and like you really enjoy just being able to talk and talk to people and express yourself. So they like that. Also good for interviews. And again, you might not want those on your main channel. So, it's just like, because again, your content and the other person's content may not jive as so the mixing of the audiences isn't as good a fit for your main channel. So I just think having a podcast channel is better. And you see that I'm not alone in my thought of that. NKBHD spun off a different podcast channel for waveform. And then by splitting off a podcast in the future, you can do a clips channel. You can do a highlights channel. Even I'm working on that. So I feel like it's worth it.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
Graham Stephan does the same thing.
And if you do it well, then take some of that income and hire an editor. And that'll solve a lot of your problem. It's a good return.
Yeah, exactly. So, I couldn't agree more. That's why I also like having these other revenue streams, is that I can use them as revenue engines to fund like team, other projects, fund whatever I need to. So
fantastic. Roberto,
it's a funding source. Yep.
It is a funding source. Yeah. Roberto, way over time. I'm like, hey, Roberto, 60 minutes. We're like almost an hour and a half. So thank you for your time, man. Always so generous. Always good hanging out with you. And I think it's really great that you're hanging out with the Uscreen team here and the Uscreen crew. So where can people connect with you? You've got multiple channels, but what's the best couple places to go to?
They can obviously just put Roberto Blake into YouTube. They can also check out the Roberto Blake podcast. And in Spotify, Apple, and iTunes. It's called the Create Something Awesome Today podcast, but I made it easy to find in YouTube by calling it the Roberto Blake podcast since it's my name and it's the easiest thing to find. So you have that. So you have the main channel, you have the podcast. You can talk to me either in Instagram at Roberto Blake, same thing for Twitter at Roberto Blake. And obviously, if you want to work with me, go to awesomecreatoracademy.com.
There you go. There you go. Awesome. Roberto, thank you so much, man. Always good hanging out. And sounds like we'll hang out in San Diego. And thanks to everybody that was with us today live. Been really fun. We'll see you guys in the next stream.
All right. Take care.